When we talk about diversity, it is, we say just about gender, or maybe sometimes we have about diverse abilities and maybe people from different, like LGBTQ group, right? But then in US and in Canada, they have different challenges. They have something related to race. They have something, so then they have diverse abilities and many more, right? So these resource groups were made keeping in mind the regional nuances of each region, and hence so I think these really have worked really well for us in the last 2 years and created a lot of engagement, trust with employees. So before I begin with the goals, Ketki, I really would like to, kind of express my thoughts around D&I, what PowerSchool really strongly believes in. I think as an organization, we really feel that if you only talk about diversity or anything to just relate it to diversity is plain numbers or just mathematical, right? But inclusion is a state of mind, right? And that is something that we are trying to build in our organization. Until and unless you really practice inclusion in a right manner, or if you are until and unless you really are focusing on inclusion, retention, or even developing the diverse workforce, you really cannot say that you have a strong D&I program in place, right? Having a D&I officer in office and say that we have a D&I program in place, that does not really work that way, because then all your efforts are making happening in a direction where you're just working on some numbers. You want to report somewhere that we have a female hiring ratio, this is this, and you want to look good in the paper somewhere, but you're really not making an effort of ensuring that we make the diverse population feel fitted into the organization, right? So when we were talking about D&I and when PowerSchool started in a few years back, taking D&I really, really seriously, the leaders were very, very clear, right? That we really want to be aware, we really want to have that intentional inclusion, and that is why we want to have a D&I program. So keeping all of that in mind, I would say that globally, and I'm not only speaking about PowerSchool India, we have few metrics in place. Like, we report our numbers to board every year saying that this is the commitment towards female hiring. That's one. In US, I know there are committed numbers to the board on the Latin American population or even the Black community, right? So they have their numbers set for that. So these get reported to the board very often, and various other forums, right? So these are some of the goals that we have. And again, I've seen it happening, and I've seen things evolving over the last couple of months and years. That one thing which is so prominent is that people have really employee engagement has got a lot better. People have different forums they can align themselves to. We have forums like, again, Prism. We have diverse ability, so people belong and they feel the sense of belongingness. So they're part of the employee engagement has got a lot better. The trust has improved, right? And as part of that, people have really started to see PowerSchool as a choice, employer of choice. Because for us, I would say more than 50% of the hiring is happening through employee reference. So it's always a word of mouth, right? The various forums that you create for D&I, I think that spreads and people really see PowerSchool as a employer of choice, which also increases our talent pool. Right. So overall, it's a win-win situation. And then again, I think by creating these forums and, again, recently we had a session on intentional inclusion. We've had sessions on, helping women to overcome imposter syndrome. So these kind of sessions are really helping and helping us create awareness around unconscious bias. And things like that. So these are some of the, I would say, benefits that I really have seen personally. Okay, so I think, and this is not only for PowerSchool, I would say this is, I think, across the industry, all organizations. I think the difficult part is one, lack or no support or maybe understanding from the leadership point of view, right? that's something. When if it's not in their KRA, the execs, if it's not in their KRA, if they do not think or see value in this whole program, then there's no way that anybody can really have a strong DNI program in place, right? So it's always top bottom. And then I would say that, and here at PowerSchool, I would like to give complete credit to our exec leadership team here, because they really, really, they have seen, value in it. They have really, there's a lot of awareness. People have really leaders have really kind of accepted that this is something that we really need to have. And our leaders are very clear. They say you really cannot build a strong DNI program until and unless you have a critical diversity mass, right? If you have a small population of diverse people, then you really cannot. How do you spread the message of inclusivity, right? And that is why we have targets of hiring women employees, certain number. We have Black community, Latin American community, and all of that. So leadership has really understood, but this is not the case in many organizations. I think that's one of the challenge. The other one I see is cultural resistance. So there's still, there is still, I would say there's a lot of resistance in the industry around. People say, like I can give you an example. So recruiters in my team, they have clear KRAs, and they have clear targets to say that for a role, in this particular team, we want certain percentage of women hires. And so sometimes I see recruiters coming to me. So first of all, this requirement is so difficult. And then we have another target of hiring a female resource only here. So then the standard answer is go look harder. If you're not able to find somebody, go look harder, right? We are not willing to compromise there. Plus, I think as an industry, we've done a lot better in terms of coming out of those I would say the earlier ways of operating. Managers, leaders are really, really open to look at different aspects of hiring today, and that really is getting a lot better, but I'm sure we can do a lot better than that. So I don't think I'm the appropriate person to really give an advice there, but I can just, maybe a message to them could be that, don't do it just because all the other organizations are doing it, or maybe just don't do it because somebody has said that it is a must for an organization to do it. But I think if you really feel that, and if you really want to be a defining corporation for the 21st century, I think then you must get these kind of programs implemented in your organization, because if not now, in the long run, there's huge value. There's huge value, not to the organization, but also to the society, right? So